For the perfect holiday gift, look no further than Cozy Earth and their amazing collection of luxurious home products and clothing designed to keep you feeling comfy, calm, and stylish during those cherished moments of relaxation at home. I've been enjoying this fantastic bamboo pajama set that they sent me. Insanely soft and comfortable, criminally soft, I would even say. Also, check out their Cityscape collection of sweats designed for comfort and functionality, as well as their super soft and fluffy bath towels and much more. Find the perfect holiday gift at cozyearth.com/Pacman and use the code Pacman for a huge 40% discount. The link is in the description. There are so many important demographic groups in elections. Yesterday, we talked about this town hall event that Donald Trump did with Latino voters on Univision. He also did an event, I guess you could call it a town hall, although he doesn't really answer questions, with women on Fox News. And we are experiencing right now one of the biggest gender gaps when it comes to women voters supporting Kamala Harris over Donald Trump. And there is a lot of interesting material to glean from this. Donald Trump in a room full of women being asked questions. Is it a script to a sitcom, a bad comedy show, or reality? Well, it was reality, and it did not go well. Donald Trump, in addressing the issue of IVF, in vitro fertilization, says that he is the father of IVF. What that means, I have no idea. And also can't help but mention that Republican Senator Katie Britt is physically attractive. Why he thinks that that's a good thing to say in a room full of women during a town hall, I don't know, but take a listen to this.
And IVF, you had mentioned before IVF.
Right, let's get this question because I believe that's what this is about.
Oh, I want to talk about IVF. I'm the father.
You don't hear that every day.
I'm the father of IVF, so I want to hear this question.
Yeah. Hi, President Trump.
Hi.
Welcome back to Georgia. We are so happy that you're here. We're all very blessed to be here with you, and thank you for taking our questions.
A blessing.
So I'm the mother of 3 small children, and I have many friends that have struggled with fertility issues over the years while trying to grow their families. And while they're pro-life, they're very concerned that the abortion bans will affect their ability to access IVF and other fertility treatments. So although abortion does lie with the states, what is your stance on that, and what would you say to those women?
So I got a call from Katie Britt, a young, just a fantastically attractive person from Alabama. She's a senator. And she called me up like emergency, because an Alabama judge had ruled that the IVF clinics were illegal and they have to be closed down. A judge ruled. And she said, friends of mine came up to me and they were so angry. I didn't even know they were going, it's fertilization. I didn't know they were even involved in it. Nobody talks about it. They don't talk about it. But now that they can't do it, she said, I was attacked. In a certain way, I was attacked. And I said, explain IVF very quickly. And within about 2 minutes, I understood it. I said, no, we're totally in favor of IVF. I came out with a statement within an hour, a really powerful statement.
The real shocking takeaway here is that Donald Trump, while claiming that he's the father of IVF, seems to acknowledge that he didn't really know what it was until recently, when Katie Britt called him to talk to him about what's going on. The father of IVF didn't know what IVF was until months or I guess a year and a half ago or something like that. Now, Trump received an absolutely critical question from one of the women in the audience, which is, sometimes abortions are necessary to save lives. Why would a government entity be involved in that at all? And Trump's response is to brag about overturning Roe v. Wade.
So facing the question of abortion, women are entitled to do what they want to and need to do with their bodies, including their unborn. That's on them regardless of the circumstance. Some are necessary to save their own lives. Why is the government involved in women's basic rights?
Right, good. I think it's great, and I'm glad you asked it. For 52 years, this issue has torn our country apart. Every legal scholar, the great ones, every lawyer, but the Democrats, the Republicans, the liberals, the conservatives, They wanted it brought out of the federal government and brought back to the states for a vote of the people. And like Ronald Reagan, I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, life of the mother. I strongly believe. You know, you have to follow your heart. Some people don't. It's a very small percentage, but you have to follow your heart. But you have the exceptions. But what we were able to do is through really the courage of 6 Supreme Court justices, we were able to do this after years and years of turmoil.
So Trump's answer to why would governments be involved at all is to say, well, you got some exceptions, but I got a Roe v. Wade overturned. It's an absolutely perfect critical question, and Trump doesn't even really come close to giving a real answer to this. Despite the fact that this was taped and edited, Trump still managed to squeeze in an incoherent rant about Elon Musk, and the host, Harris Faulkner, ends up cutting him off and cutting to a commercial.
Hell broke loose, and they got the Starlink. And by the way, it worked incredibly well. He did a great service. Elon did a great service. You know what I like about it? He endorsed me. He gave me the biggest, you know what he said, Harris? So, I mean, look, he's a respected guy. When you can see a guy take that rocket yesterday,
oh my goodness,
and have that sucker come back out of space, all burned up, and he's putting it right back where it's. I said, why do you do that? Because I don't want to build another one.
All right.
He's the only one.
We got to go. We'll be right back with more after this.
Broke.
She interrupts the unhinged rant about Elon Musk and rockets. And then she did do Harris Faulkner a teeny tiny, a little bit, as Trump would say, of fact checking when Trump claimed that the immigrants in Springfield, Ohio are there illegally. Harris Faulkner goes, by the way, they're there legally.
Yet, Springfield, Ohio, they have 50,000, 52,000 people. No problems, no real crime, no beautiful community. They just dropped 30,000 illegal aliens in Springfield, Ohio, and it's become a different place. We're going to destroy our country. Our country is going.
Actually,
it's horrible.
You know, there's more to that story. They are here legally, and there are programs that the.
I like how Trump says yes. He just said that they're there illegally. She goes, oh, actually, they're here legally. Trump goes, yeah.
Administration has put into place to do those flights. So we recently learned, we didn't have any number to compare it to, so all of a sudden we knew 1.5 million people had come in through those flights.
Yeah, it's funny how she is fact-checking it, but she's talking to Trump like he's a little kid who's about to have a tantrum, and you have to be really, really careful in how you talk to them. Trump offering some very interesting solutions to problems that may or may not exist. Harris Faulkner asking, how do you stop men from playing women's sports? And Trump goes, you ban it.
How do you stop it? Do you go to the sports leagues? Do you go to the Olympic
You just ban it. The president bans it. You just don't let it happen.
Harris, why can't you understand that when you're a dictator, they just let you do it? He should have taken this approach with COVID and just banned the virus. It would have been way, way better for everybody. Now, in reality, Harris Faulkner is asking sort of a good question, which is that local sports leagues aren't really bound to what the president says. It's just nonsense. And another example of this, she asks Trump, how do you bring down prices? He goes, you just bring them down, Harris. Jeez.
We're going to get the prices down. We can't just leave them up there because it's going to take too long for people to catch up. That's why I did the social.
We have to like reset.
No,
I don't know how you reset to prices that are 4
You can
times
get the
what
prices down.
So let me ask you,
by the way, energy brings everything down.
How does it trickle down? Does it work that the energy is also cheaper for the companies, and so that the distribution? How does the pricing actually happen? Because the interest rates have come down and inflation rate has come down, but it's like we are going uphill constantly with these prices.
But interest hasn't come down very much and you can't get the money. Look, it really happens if you make donuts. You have the stoves, you have the dish. Everything is evolved around energy.
There you go. The way you bring prices down is you make donuts, you have the stoves, you have the this, and everything has simply evolved. I wish governance were this easy. How do you get men out of women's sports? You ban them. How do you bring prices down? You just do it. You make donuts, you bring the prices down. That's it. Harris, why are you asking me these dumb questions? You just do it. When you're the president, it just happens. Not a particularly good intellectual show of understanding of political issues. Certainly interesting to see Trump in this scenario. There were actually some very good questions asked. We didn't really get any answers. Donald Trump gave a speech in Aurora, Colorado, backdropped by signs that read, "Deport illegals now and end migrant crime." Trump appeared completely lost on stage, and there was palpable panic in the audience. A meandering Trump. When you see the crowd of people, you see that they look very confused. He does this rant about how he will protect women. Nobody seems convinced.
Your community will no longer live in fear. You will once again have a protector in the White House. I'm going to be a protector. You know, I said, I think we're doing very well with women. We're doing great in the polls. We're winning in all of the polls, just about.
He's losing women by a record gap to Kamala Harris.
But somebody said, women love my policy, but they don't like me. I think they do like me. I'll tell you what. So.
Yeah, just another one of these confused, meandering speeches. And tragically, Donald Trump again repeating this line, which we now are so familiar with this week, of the enemy within. The real enemy, it's not Russia, it's not China. The problem is leftists in the country.
The enemy from within, all the scum that we have to deal with that hate our country, that's a bigger enemy than China and Russia.
A bloodthirsty crowd cheering for the presidential candidate, saying the real adversary is not Russia or China. It's within the U.S., it's the left, it's people who disagree with me politically. Trump also promising to take away the license of CBS to broadcast.
And they added a much shorter statement that she made 10 minutes later, having nothing to do with the question. I don't think anything like that's ever happened. And now we're finding out that it happened throughout. It wasn't the only instance. And now we're thinking that it probably happened with Biden a couple of times because he was interviewed by 60 Minutes and some strange things happened. So they're asking, but think of this. So CBS gets a license and the license is based on honesty. I think they have to take their license away.
Trump has now said that he would take away the broadcast licenses of MSNBC, ABC because he didn't like being fact-checked during the debate, and CBS because he doesn't like how 60 Minutes is functioning. Trump focusing in on teleprompters, attacking Kamala Harris for using a teleprompter while using a teleprompter.
Who has no clue what the hell is going on, I have to tell you. Did you see where she did a town hall yesterday and she used a teleprompter? I never saw a town. You don't use teleprompters. We don't use teleprompters, period, pretty much.
We don't use teleprompters, period, pretty much. You can see the teleprompter Trump is using as he delivers this speech. And of course, he's lying. This was another conspiracy theory. The teleprompter visible on screen during Kamala Harris's town hall was for the anchor. It was a script for the anchor. And if you zoom in, you see that it's text that was read by the host or the anchor of the town hall, not by Kamala Harris. And then finally, Donald Trump winding down this speech about deporting illegals, as he says, by saying that they are rapists.
And they're rapists, okay. So I made that statement, and I got the hell knocked out of me by the fake news. Look how many you have back there. Oh, I got the hell knocked. But I took a lot of heat for saying it, but I was right. And now everybody is admitting that I was right. You know, that Trump was right. How many times have you heard that? You know, when Trump ran.
There you go. So Trump saying, back when I came down the escalator and said the Mexican rapists are coming here, it turns out that I was correct. Wow. I don't know at this point whether we should be more concerned about Trump or the people still going to these deranged rallies. And to sort of close out the Trump rally portion of the show, let's now go to Reno, Nevada. Donald Trump finalizing this big day of rallies in Reno, Nevada, with really strange language, bragging that he did a little one, he did a little tiny one, And he also did a really big one.
I guess that's the end of that one. But with your vote this November, I did 3 of them today. I did a little one, a little tiny one with a small group, and then I did a really big one. I did a big one, and I did this one, and I'm still raring to go.
There you go. Trump, what a big boy. He did a big one. That's really great, Donnie boy. Trump then focusing in on the Kamala Harris has a cognitive issue. Trump focusing in on how she speaks, how she thinks, and essentially criticizing Kamala Harris for everything that we have rightly been criticizing Donald Trump for years.
There's something wrong with her when you can't get up and make a speech like normally, like with all the work we do, you think you could for 40 minutes. Well, she makes very short speeches too. Do you ever notice they're like 10 minutes? Right. It's, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you. My name is Kamala. And she, she'll speak like,
isn't that funny?
So routinely, and I hate the word, they had word salad, the words. I don't like the sound of it, but it's sort of true. She just they're just words. They're put together. They don't mean anything.
And of course, this is exactly what Trump does every single one of these speeches.
Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat your...
Trump then starting to glitch. We got any good Trump rally, any Trump rally, includes some glitching.
Endorses and respect, they dearly, look, you know that, they dearly deserve it.
Trump getting a little bit hung up on the words there, and then maybe tragically, when it comes to policy, starting to really say disgusting things about education, about immigrants, about children.
You cannot get into a hospital, by the way, because the migrants have all of the beds. You cannot get into a hospital. You cannot get your kids into a school because there are migrants there that don't even speak the language. It's unbelievable. They're giving, because of Biden and Kamala, they're giving precedence over your children who've been in that school.
So Trump wants you to believe that thanks to those dastardly migrants, you can't get health care at a hospital, and your children can't go to school. Trump then going to the long list of who is coming into the country, and the crowd becoming visibly and audibly more and more bloodthirsty as Trump speaks.
They're delivering into the United States mental patients, prisoners, killers, drug dealers, gang members, criminals, street criminals. They're all here. They're all going to be here soon. We're not going to allow it to happen. Not going to happen.
And the crowd liking that Trump is going to stop this from happening. And Trump wrapping up the rally with a declaration that he loves black men. We were all wondering, does Trump love black men or not? I'm not sure. And he answers the question definitively.
Black men. I love black men. I love them.
I love black men.
I love them. I have gone through the roof with black men. Black men. I don't do quite as well with black women, I must say. I don't know why, but I'm sure that'll work out too. But I do appreciate it.
So in case anybody here was wondering, does Trump love black men? Does he not love black men? He has put this controversy to rest, and he has clarified he loves black men. The rally's ending is one of the things I am most looking forward to about getting to November 6th. I hope. I am really hoping that we are finally going to put an end to some of the most pathetic and bizarre political rallies in American presidential campaign history. Let's all hope together. Let's do our part on November 5th let's send the Trump rally to the dustbin of history, right? We've got to end it. We've got to end it. And the way to do it is by defeating this nonsense in November. Let's take a break. You want to see 5 different answers about abortion in 9 seconds from a Republican Senate candidate? You'd think it wouldn't be possible. 5 answers in 9 seconds. He's done it. It may be some kind of incredible achievement of humanity to do it. Dave McCormick did it. We'll take a quick break and then go there. One of our sponsors today is Cozy Earth. Cozy Earth has the highest quality luxury products for every room in your home, bed and bath, clothing, candles, skincare, and more. They make great holiday gifts. Cozy Earth's goal is help you create a sanctuary within your home, a refuge from the demands of the outside world. Cozy Earth sent me this amazing bamboo pajama set. So soft, so comfortable, sleeping, lounging, the little bit of lounging I get to do. They have women's pajamas too. Cozy Earth's pajamas are designed for the cherished moments of relaxation, ensuring that you are cozy and stylish all season long. Also, check out their Cityscape collection of sweats designed for comfort and functionality. Cozy Earth's Cityscape hoodie is the go-to for comfort on the move, a must-have loungewear staple. Never forget that the holidays are best spent lounging at home and staying comfortable. Cozy Earth is the best way to do it. From their amazingly soft bath towels, luxurious bath robes, slippers, a lot more, all with a 10-year warranty. My favorite part is their commitment to responsible production of every product. Whether you're shopping for yourself or looking for the perfect holiday gift, take advantage of my exclusive 40% discount when you go to cozyearth.com/Pacman and use the code Pacman. The link is in the description. Consider yourself invited to join the membership ranks of the David Pacman Show, which you can do at joinpacman.com. We primarily and overwhelmingly depend on the support of our audience. Get the full David Pacman Show experience, including the daily bonus show.
Oh, the bonus show where you want to make money, but everybody else that makes money to fund themselves is bad.
The bonus show, as I mentioned, the commercial-free audio and video streams of the show, the members-only soundboard, invitations to members-only town halls, and so many other great things. Get all of it by signing up at joinpacman.com. And for just a few more days, as we now close in on the 2024 election, you can use the discount code SAVEDEMOCRACY24, or you can use the coupon code MUTETRUMP, all one word, at joinpacman.com to get yourself a discount. I am going to talk to you today about a mealy-mouthed Republican Senate candidate named Dave McCormick. Dave McCormick wants to be senator in Pennsylvania, and he gave, depending on how you count them, 3 to 5 different answers in 9 seconds. 3 to 5 different answers in 9 seconds as to who should decide about reproductive rights, the legality of abortion and family planning services. Depending on how you count them, and you'll see what I mean, you can pick from 3 to 5 answers as to who should decide. Take a listen to this.
You called the overturning of Roe v. Wade a huge victory for the protection of life. You've also stated that decisions on abortion should be left to the states, allowing each to set its own laws. A woman is a woman no matter where she lives. So what is your reasoning for supporting a system where a woman's access to abortion is dependent on her state of residence?
Well, this is obviously a very polarizing issue. I'm a father of 6 daughters, and I believe that it's so polarizing that courts shouldn't decide, judges shouldn't decide, people should decide. And there's very different views across states. So I believe it's a states' rights issue.
There you go. Courts should decide, judges should decide, people should decide, states should decide. And when he says states, it could be the voters of a state, or it could be the state legislators of a state, or it could be state-level judges or state-level courts. There's actually probably 6 or 7 different answers here. These are in conflict. Now, if you press them, they would go, well, courts and judges are the same thing. They're really not. You could be talking about judges as individuals, or you could be talking about a state judicial court or a court as an institution. Judges as individuals and courts as institutions are 2 different things. You could go to a court made up of 3 judges and say, hey, what would your opinion be about this if you were just deciding as an individual? And then you could go to them and say, as a 3-panel review board, how should a court decide on this issue? When you say ask the people, of course, it's should we be asking the people of the state or the people federally? Well, he says it's at the state level that it should be done. Okay, so then should it be state legislators that are ultimately deciding, or the people in a state? And if you look at Roe v. Wade and what happened there, you see how this conflicts. The Supreme Court decided, but the people wanted it by a larger margin than at any point in history. And yet the judges that are on the Supreme Court, 3 of whom were selected by Donald Trump, nominated by Donald Trump, decided no more Roe v. Wade. That was in direct conflict to what the people wanted, not in every state, but certainly nationally, as Roe v. Wade was more popular at the time it was overturned than at any time during the history of Roe v. Wade. These are not just, it's easy to look at Dave McCormick. Let's look at him here. Where is this guy? Here he is. It's easy to look at this guy and say, he's merely a doofus. He's merely confused. He's trying to have it every way. But these are really horrible people because we have the statistics and the data on women who are going without care, women who have died, horrible stories of needing to travel, if you can even afford to do it, but needing to travel for family planning and contraception or even termination services because of what judges or courts or states have decided in this vacuum that formed after Roe v. Wade's repeal. So, I've said before that reasonable people can disagree over what the right top tax rate should be. Reasonable people can disagree about whether an abortion would be right for their family. Part of being pro-choice, which I am, is that if there are specific people who say, hey, you know what? Here's my medical situation. In an informed and free and open way, I've evaluated my options, and all of the options are possible, and I've decided I'm not comfortable with abortion. Congratulations. Being pro-choice means that we respect that. It's not, this cartoon that many people on the right say about leftists trying to force abortions on people. Choice means I respect and recognize that for any reason, right? It could be for religious reasons, if that's what matters to you. You could take Trump's stupid reason. Trump claims that he's now against abortion because he met a kid he liked. I don't believe him for a second, but if you met a kid you liked and it changed your view on abortion, I mean, listen, it sounds dumb, but you're entitled to decide however you want for yourself. But when McCormick does this, it's all fine, whatever states decide, judges, people, courts, it's not just theoretical that people's lives are on the line. And some people have indeed lost their lives because of this attitude. It's disgusting. Former Fox News host and former friend of Donald Trump's, Geraldo Rivera, has announced he's done with Trump. He's done. And he is endorsing Kamala Harris. This has generated a lot of discussion. First and foremost, Geraldo posted to Twitter a declaration about this, where he said, with 3 weeks to go until Election Day, Trump stands a chance of becoming president, despite assassination attempt, impeachment, et cetera, et cetera. He says that the polls show that it's too close to call. He goes on to talk about how he had a front row seat to Trump's 2016 election because he was on the final season of The Apprentice, and so on and so forth. And Geraldo points out that he became victorious over Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, that Trump and Geraldo were friends, that Trump's presidency was underrated, and so on and so forth. But eventually, Geraldo says that his suspicions got the best of him, hasn't spoken to Trump since 2020, when he spoke to Trump shortly after Trump lost, and that Geraldo asked Trump, what would he do if the vote count remained against him? And that Trump said he was a reasonable man and would do the right thing, but never ultimately did. And Geraldo goes on to tell the story of how, with a motley supporting cast of fringe characters, Trump went from conspiracy theory to conspiracy theory without proof, saying he was robbed by Democrats. And we know the rest of the story. We know the rest of the story and Trump's refusal to just allow what is constitutionally determined to take place. In short, In short, Geraldo says Trump is a sore loser who cannot be trusted to honor the Constitution, and that's why Geraldo is voting for Kamala Harris to be the 47th president of the United States. Geraldo has done a little bit of a media round of interviews. He appeared on, what is this show? News Nation with, I believe this is Leland Vittert. And in his trademark angle yourself at, imagine if I did that on the show, if I angled myself at 45 degrees to the camera. In his trademark angling himself off center to the camera, Geraldo explains why he made this decision.
I suggest to you that I personally will not be voting for Donald Trump because of three reasons. I think his creation of, or his destruction of Roe v. Wade and the protections for abortion, the immigration reform bill that he did not embrace. Rather, he has chosen to become an absolute racist when it comes to speaking of particularly Latin undocumented immigrants, comparing them basically to animals. It's horrifying. I don't know how any Latino person of any self-esteem, any self-respect would be in favor of.
You may not know about it, Geraldo,
ranting,
but more Latinos are
poisoning the blood of the country and the Democrats. I am not voting for Donald Trump because I do not believe that he can be trusted to honor the Constitution of the United States. I am not voting for Donald Trump principally, aside from abortion and immigration rights. I am not voting for Donald Trump because he proved that he put himself and his own personal future ahead of the future of the country and the Constitution of the United States. That was the words from his own Vice President Mike Pence. And what he did on January 6th.
I love Geraldo not letting Leland get a word in edgewise.
And so forth. Deserved impeachment and rejects. I pledge then.
This is really great. I'm not like the biggest fan of Geraldo's, but I really like this. And one of the things that I think is delightful about this is it's widely triggering to Trump. You can't just write off Geraldo as some left-wing nut because he supported Trump. He said that Trump's first couple years as president were good or even successful, depending on how you measure that. You can't just write off Geraldo in this way, and it is sending all of these people for a loop. And this is not now some random Republican, that says, "Oh, I used to support Trump, and now I don't." This is a guy who loudly and publicly supported Trump, would go on TV and say this guy's doing a great job in those early days, and now he says, "I can't do it. I'm not going to do it." Now, I want to submit to you one other thing. Geraldo is 81 years old, and when we look at Trump, who is the oldest major party presidential nominee in American history, and you hear Trump talking at rallies.
Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat
incoherent, completely incoherent, particularly when contrasted with Geraldo at 81, who is articulate, concise, direct, on message, erudite. And it's really just a reminder that something is very wrong, very, very wrong with failed former President Donald Trump. So good for Geraldo. I don't think Geraldo's endorsement is the difference maker in this election, but I like to see how concisely he's laying out the case. And if a few thousand Republicans in Georgia hear it and go, "Hey, you know what? Geraldo's making a good point. I'm not voting for Trump either," we'll take anything we can get at this point to keep this dangerous farce out of the Oval Office. Don't forget that the best way to support the David Pakman Show is by becoming a member, which gives you access to the daily bonus show, the regular show with no commercials. You also get access to our entire archive of every episode dating back a really long time, and plenty of other awesome membership perks. Go to joinpakman.com, joinpakman.com. On the heels of our recent story about masculinity and the MAGA manosphere and Trump as the bully, the supposed alpha, although much of his behavior is really of an insecure man or boy, we have new reporting from the New York Times that Trump is privately referring to Kamala Harris as retarded. And this is really a story with two sort of forking interpretations. On the one hand, there's the what an insecure guy, what a truly insecure bully who just treats everyone terribly unless they suck up to him, unless they pray at the metaphorical altar of Trump. That's one side to this. And we know of Trump as the bully. On the other hand, there's Trump and his projection, because there is something here where Trump, we've seen the cognitive decline for years, and Trump started focusing in on Joe Biden's cognitive decline, as Donald Trump described it. And then all of a sudden, after that disastrous debate performance, Joe Biden says, hey, you know what? I'm going to be stepping aside here and not running for president again. In comes Kamala Harris, and Trump uses the exact same playbook. The same playbook when 59-year-old Kamala Harris clearly is fine cognitively and intelligent. Trump starts with, she's dumb. She didn't pass the bar her first time, as if Trump has ever passed the bar. She's not really there mentally. And now he's more recently been saying, I think Kamala Harris has cognitive decline just like Joe Biden. And in private, he's referring to her as retarded, which of course is another instance of Trump's insecurities, given that the story of his cognitive state, his brain health, has gone completely mainstream. And so you can't interpret this story both as Trump's egomaniacal, self-centered bullying instincts, making fun of a reporter with a disability, making fun of people's appearance, the whole thing. There's that. But when it comes to this particular line of attack, it also is an instance of projection, given the widespread concerns about Trump. Now, the exact quote here of what's going on is he disparaged Vice President Kamala Harris as retarded. He complained about the number of Jews still backing Harris, saying they need their heads examined for not supporting him, despite everything he's done for the state of Israel. So as the concerns about Trump's cognition grow, you notice that it's Jews that need their heads examined. It's Kamala Harris who is, quote, retarded, and on and on and on. Not a huge shock, but certainly some significant irony there. And when the debate around policy is lost, or you just don't even understand policy, as is the case with Donald Trump, you go to slander, you go to insult, you go to bullying. Don't forget that he made fun of a reporter with a disability some time ago. So it can't possibly be surprising that retarded is still a word that is in Donald Trump's lexicon. We don't use that term on the show. I use it only in quoting here what Donald Trump is saying here. But his voters seem completely fine with it. And that's sort of the final note, which is, as disgusting as this is, as obvious it is that it's untrue that Kamala Harris has any cognitive issue, projection, all of it. Then you step back and you go, wow, the people voting for Trump could not possibly care less about Trump using this word to describe Kamala Harris. It's not even close to something that they would care about. As Trump has famously said, I could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and not lose any support. He probably could, and he can certainly use this word about Kamala Harris and lose no support whatsoever. I'm going to show you borderline Nazi stuff from Stephen Miller. This is tough to watch, okay? As Trump's rally, one of Trump's recent rallies in Colorado was approaching, Stephen Miller went up on the stage to do the dog and pony show and to get people worked up into a lather about brown people. And Stephen Miller started pointing at pictures of Hispanic people and getting Trump's audience to boo and to yell at them. This is what is taking. You want to talk about a lack of a positive vision for America? Take a look at this.
Look at all these photos around me. Are these the kids you grew up with? Are these the neighbors you were raised with? Are these the neighbors that you want in your...
And understand that what's happening here is there are big blowups of Hispanic people on the stage. And Stephen Miller's pointing to them saying, these are not the people you grew up with.
City? No. These are the criminal migrants that Kamala Harris brought into your community. And as swiftly as they came, Donald Trump will send them back.
They are weaponizing the crowd against individuals who, it's always so weird to say this, are visibly Hispanic. It's so stupid, right? But like, I'm Hispanic, but people would say, David, you're not visibly Hispanic because you're white passing and actually you're Jewish ethnically. And this is all such a mess. But I think we all understand what we mean when they've chosen images of individuals that are visibly Hispanic. As much as I cringe when saying that, I'm trying to describe it to you. And they get the crowd to point and to yell and to say, no, boo these people. Now, of course, if push came to shove, Stephen Miller and Trump and Jason Miller and the defenders would go, this isn't about just attacking Hispanic people. These particular Hispanic people committed crimes above and beyond just entering the country illegally. That's why we're focused on them. But then you say to them, oh, so are you telling me Trump won't deport? He won't persecute mothers and children, or he won't try to deport people who came here before they were legally adults? And then they go, well, listen, we don't yet know, and you got to come through the front door, not the back door. So when push comes to shove, yes, the blowups are of individuals that have been accused, not always convicted, but accused in many cases of committing particular crimes. They should be subject to the justice system. And by the way, if they are sentenced, after they serve their sentence, those people get deported if they are in the United States illegally. We have a system for that. But then when you really push them and you go, well, what about the moms? And what about this or that? All Trump will acknowledge is we're thinking of that. And you know that if we deport a mom, the liberal media will go crazy saying, oh, it's so mean. Oh, it's so bad. Where it all starts is not at the nuance of policy. It's at Stephen Miller with blown up pictures of Hispanic people weaponizing a bloodthirsty crowd, working them up into a lather and getting them to yell and boo and point. And it's disgusting. Maybe the most disgusting moment of all from the last week of rallies took place in Columbia, South Carolina. Trump was speaking to the BCF. Now you might say, David, sir, that's not a group I'm familiar with. What is the BCF? The BCF is the Black Conservative Federation. And what Trump said to the Black Conservative Federation is, do you want the black president or do you want the white president? As Donald Trump loves to say, this is really weird. This is a very strange 14 seconds from Trump's rally, or speech rather, in Columbia, South Carolina.
Would you rather have the black president or the white president who got $1.7 billion off the price? I think they want the white guy right now.
I know that a lot of you would say, dear God, that is how do you possibly defend that? That's completely indefensible. And you would be wrong. The way they defend this is gleefully. You go to a white Republican and you say, look, what is Trump doing? He's saying, vote for the white guy rather than the black woman. He's running on the basis of race and saying, use race as a factor to decide who to vote for. The white Republican Trump supporter would look at you and with a straight face, they would say, no, 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 no. This shows how much Trump respects black people. That I'm in character now, please. Okay. So don't clip this as if I'm in character. They would say this clip shows how Trump really respects black people because it is the Democrats who have assumed the vote of the black community. And it is Donald Trump who is pointing out, I respect the black folks so much that I know they won't vote on racial lines. They will vote based on what is best for them. And the black folks in the crowd recognize that the woman who happens to be black is not what's best for them, but the man who happens to be white, me, is actually what is best for them. So they would turn this entire thing, you would put it through a pasta maker, you put it in, and then out comes something completely different. And you go, oh, it's no longer a mess of dough, it's now beautiful spaghetti. That's what they would say. This is a rant about how much Trump respects black people. Now, of course, that's a ridiculous interpretation if you know anything about Donald Trump's background and the overtly xenophobic way that he has carried out his entire life, including his rental history in New York with his dad's business when it comes to black folks, and dozens, if not hundreds of other incidents that we've talked about before. But Trump showing up and going, they don't want the black woman. They want the white man. We will see. We will see. My prediction is that claims about black voters flocking to Trump are being dramatically overstated. We'll see it in the exit polls in 3 weeks, and then we can evaluate. Let's take a quick break. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel at youtube.com/The David Pakman Show. Let's get to those 3 million subscribers. Why not? If you value what we do at The David Pakman Show, remember to support us on Patreon. Go to patreon.com/David Pakman Show, where you can get access to behind the scenes videos, the daily bonus show, the commercial-free daily show. You can support the show for as little as $2 a month. Check it out at patreon.com/David Pakman Show. Let's get to the Friday feed bag on Friday, the day we normally do this. Last week we did Thursday because of my travel, threw a lot of people off. People thought it was Friday on Thursday. They ended up not going to work the next day, so I don't want to throw anybody off. So we're going to keep Friday feedback on Friday. And remember that info@davidpakman.com is the email address you can write into anytime if you have something to say. Sometimes TikTok comments, YouTube comments, Twitter stuff sometimes will be included. And of course, the subreddit. Let's start today on YouTube, where Christine Chavez has a beautiful message where she says, you and Don Lemon should podcast together and name it Stupidity Is Us. You both are the saddest men ever to hit the podcast world. You know, I actually think that this is a great message to receive, because although you might not agree with Don Lemon, to say he's stupid seems very much not true. And so if Christine sees Don as stupid and she sees me as stupid, maybe neither one of us is dumb. I'm choosing to interpret this one more positively. But Christine, good luck to you. Sounds like there's a lot of negativity in your life. I don't know what else I can say. Dave CC 1964 comes to us today from the subreddit and says, Harris's betting market collapse. Poly market has Trump way ahead. Predicted had Harris ahead, but flipped. Trump now ahead. What happened? Is this thing over? And Dave goes on to say, it looks like Trump is surging in betting markets. National polls moving to Trump. Swing states slipping away for Harris. It looks like it's over. What happened? Wondering whether it was the hurricane or Elon Musk or Twitter changing the momentum. Well, listen, there are a number of reasons that we've seen this momentum shift in the betting markets. And I know that on this program, there are people who get so upset with me when I simply say, hey, it's not looking awesome. Trump may win. Yes, Harris may win, but Trump may win. People say, David, you're not going to encourage anyone to vote like that. I don't know that that makes any sense. If you're worried your candidate might lose, that should encourage you to vote. But as everyone knows, I call it like I see it. The VP debate being essentially a non-factor probably started a tightening in the polls. Some less, I don't know what to call it. It's not less positive, but less boisterously positive news cycles for Kamala Harris probably aren't helping. And we expected it to tighten, and it is. And it's just a reminder that we must vote. Now, also from subreddit, Fallen Knight has a different perspective on what's actually going on. And Fallen Knight writes, I'm convinced nothing either candidate does matters right now. writing, I've been following the polling closely, and it's been odd. Harris does everything right, goes on interviews, being positive and hopeful, trying to broaden the coalition. Trump is over here doing absolutely the opposite, rambling speeches, losing his mind on social media, making up lies, along with his normal vaguely racist comments like Barack Hussein Obama, which the media doesn't cover enough. As the race gets close, though, we just see the polls tightening. My theory is people are generally not doing so great financially, myself included. They just want to replace the current administration with anyone. I'm fairly certain a dog would be polling close in Pennsylvania right now. Just my very not educated opinion on what has been a baffling race for me. Harris is pitching an almost perfect game and Trump is getting destroyed, but it might not matter. I think this is basically right. The things I mentioned before are post facto explanations. And it's not that they aren't real explanations, but if we zoom out, we expected it to tighten regardless. We expected a regression to the mean, which is that in this country right now, there are enough people who love terrible ideas and enough people who will never vote for Democrats and enough people who will never vote for a woman. You add it all up and you get enough people at least potentially voting for Trump that the guy could win. That's where I believe we are. It sounds like Fallen Knight agrees. John Cunningham wrote on YouTube, Tim Walz is the most ordinary person I've ever seen run for a political office this high. I'm embarrassed to have ever been a Republican. P.S. That sweater is awful. Well, the sweater notwithstanding, yeah, in a lot of ways, Tim Walz is a very normal guy. If the reports are to be believed, his net worth is in the $300,000 range, which for people his age who own a home is very average. It's not even high average. It's very, very average. The question will be, and it's mostly a question about Kamala Harris, but in part the question will be, do the American people, or enough of them, want a, quote, normal guy, not an elite by any stretch of the definition of that? Do they want a normal guy as VP to Kamala Harris? And we will find out soon. A username that I cannot read because it's written in a language whose alphabet I am not familiar with, says, if he thinks, referring to Trump, if he thinks people should go to jail for criticizing judges, shouldn't Trump himself be behind bars? Yeah, you have to understand that all of Trump's standards only apply to other people. Support law and order and the troops no matter what, except for when you don't because you're ranting about Democrats and how you should be forgiven and the whole justice system can't be trusted. It's weaponized against you. With all of this stuff, it's here are my principles until they're no longer convenient. And Trump has talked about Trump has talked about jailing people for criticizing the Supreme Court justices. And yet Trump criticized judges all the time. JR wrote in and said, nothing is sadder than American working class and small business folks sucking up to a celebrity who hates and exploits them. I love this message because I've been talking about this for so long and so many people either don't get it or they don't want to admit it. Trump hates his followers, the vast majority. Now I know in the rallies, he'll play up that he likes them or he'll shake hands with people or whatever. But Trump has spent his entire life as a rich guy from New York trying to be kept isolated from large swaths of the very people that now support him. And he cares about them, cares in terms of how they're useful to him. Can you donate money at this point? Or are we done with donations? Can you vote for me? Or has the voting ended? Are you pledging unflinching loyalty to me, either as a voter or as a candidate or whatever? If not, then I have no use for you. This is the Trump. And it is sad that more of his voters don't realize this guy doesn't like you. He doesn't like you at all, and he's using you. Many of them seem to want to be used, which is a whole other psychological phenomenon. L2 Lagrange says, I would love to see somebody interview the people who are leaving Trump rallies early. I'd like to see Luke Beasley or Jordan Klepper spend a majority of a Trump rally outside interviewing the people leaving early. I think it'd be funny to hear what they have to say. In particular, I wonder what excuses they would make for why they didn't stay the entire time. You know, after we're done with the show today, I'm going to send Luke Beasley a message and see if he's going to any upcoming Trump rallies. I think asking them why they're leaving would be great. I think with some, you would get perfunctory answers like, I came from far away and I have to drive home. I'm really sick and tired of being out in the sun, or it's too hot. You'd get those answers from a bunch of people, but you'd probably find some willing to acknowledge what others have acknowledged, which is, an entire rally full of insulting people. It's just not for me. I'm going home. Or it's the same speech he's been giving for 3 years. It's just, I'm going home. I think it'd be an interesting mix, and I would love to see Luke do that. Ron is grateful. Says, I see you love to bash Jill Stein, but she'd probably be a way better president than Kamala Harris. For sure, way better for the Middle East, because Harris is a warmonger, just as all the other presidents have been. For the people of Palestina, it doesn't make any difference if Trump is in the White House or Harris. Well, even the uncommitted movement leaders have acknowledged whether Trump or Kamala Harris is in the White House makes a big difference for the people of Palestine. So, Ron, I would check with the uncommitted movement. Far be it for me to speak for them. But let me go back to where you started this message. Jill Stein would be a way better president than Kamala Harris. I do not think there's any evidence to suggest that. I don't think there's any evidence to suggest that Jill Stein is better suited for the number and breadth and seriousness of the things a president deals with every single day than Kamala Harris. I think Kamala Harris is better suited than Trump temperamentally and in so many other ways, including experience. And I think Kamala Harris is way better suited than Jill Stein. For me, the Jill Stein thing is not, I don't think she can win, although she obviously can't. It's, I don't want her to win. She doesn't appeal to me. Her candidacy doesn't appeal to me. Her experience and background don't appeal to me. And her connection to Putin and Russia is only an even bigger red flag. Before I even knew about that, the Jill Stein thing wasn't for me. But even more so now, it is just not for me. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the pre-order campaign for my forthcoming book, The Echo Machine, continues. I have an uncorrected proof of the book right here. It's a beautiful book, letters and words, the letter E, many instances of the letter E, all vowels used extensively in this book, as well as many words and paragraphs. I, much like Donald Trump, struggled to use language to communicate something of meaning in the book. Unlike Trump at his rallies, I think I was able to do it. And so I am so thankful to everybody who has pre-ordered the book. You can go to davidpakman.com/echo. You can find the book called The Echo Machine on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Audible, Apple audiobooks, anywhere books, audiobooks, or ebooks are sold. I will update you Monday on pre-order totals. And remember that you can get all the free goodies with the book by going to davidpakman.com/free book stuff. Free book stuff, all one word. Fill out that form, upload your receipt. We've got a bonus show for you today. We have new shows all of next week. And folks, it's 2.5 weeks until the election. Wow. Thanks a lot for watching today's show. I just want to take a second to tell you about today's sponsors. For the perfect holiday gift, look no further than Cozy Earth and their amazing collection of luxurious home products and clothing designed to keep you feeling comfy, calm, and stylish during those cherished moments of relaxation at home. I've been enjoying this fantastic bamboo pajama set that they sent me. Insanely soft and comfortable, criminally soft, I would even say. Also, check out their Cityscape collection of sweats designed for comfort and functionality, as well as their super soft and fluffy bath towels and much more. Find the perfect holiday gift at cozyearth.com/Pacman and use the code Pacman for a huge 40% discount. The link is in the description.